What's going on, everybody? James with That's Right Lawn Care. Hope y'all are all having an awesome Tuesday. I just wanted to jump on here and get this video started. I'm not sure what's in store for today. There might be some crazy stuff. You never know what could happen in the wild world of lawn care. So anyways, these two are Monday yards. The one back there, I don't know if you can see it, with the fence all the way around it. And then this one here, got some footage of them. So what happened yesterday is, usually I do these yards early, and we ended up switching route yesterday and kind of doing it backwards. So we didn't get to these till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So when I pulled up, the guy had some company over, and then this one over here had his big truck parked in the driveway. So I called, or I sent them a message and said, hey, truck's in the way of the gate, and that's the only access point to the yard, is that gate right there. And then this customer came out and said, hey man, is there any way we can reschedule today? Which these are literally a half a mile from my house. So, and they're weeklies. It's not like they're getting taller. So they're easily maintained, both of them. So I said, sure, not a problem. I figured I'd just start my route out with them. As you can see, I am running solo this morning, and Will had a doctor's appointment that he had to go to, and he, of course, let me know about it beforehand, which is always good. Any of y'all employees out there, you know, it's always good to communicate with your employer. Let them know if you're, you know, going to be late, going to be whatever it's going to be. Communication is a big key. Luckily today I only had 8 on the list. They're, for the most part, small yards. I've got one that's 2 of them that are only weed eating. So I'm gonna get on down the road. I got tons of mowing footage today because I'm by myself, small list. I'm just gonna record pretty much every yard and mix it all up. If something crazy happens, you will be the first to see, after me and anybody around. See you in a few. Alright guys, so instead of recording all the yards I had to do today, I was thinking while I was mowing, I was like, I'm gonna have to set the camera up, this, that. I've got you some mowing footage, don't worry. So what I've decided to do today is I wanted to give a little background story on myself, where I kind of came from, what got me into mowing, and stuff like that, for some of y'all that don't know or haven't heard, or if I didn't exactly explain it to the full extent the last time I talked about it. So I got my first mower when I was about 14 years old. It was a push mower. Got it for my birthday. Woke up that morning, didn't have to go to school. Dad got me a push mower and my uncle got me a weed eater. I set out into the neighborhood, you know, knocking on doors, whatnot. Hey, can I cut your yard? I lived in a neighborhood where there were probably about 100 houses or so. Small little neighborhood, small houses and stuff like that. But, you know, they were for the most part, I'd say under 1/4 of an acre. So, small yards. I definitely hate to push mow them now. But I was 14, you know, I was just eager to get out and make some money. I had my mind set on this bicycle that I wanted. It was a Haro TR 2.2. I still remember it because it was what I worked so hard for. Something I'd go out and cut. And hey, I was the $20 guy at that time. I was push mowing these yards for $20, but you know, gas was cheap. It was in the neighborhood. I didn't have a lot of overhead. I didn't have any overhead except for gas. You know, everything was profit to me. So I set out. I wanted to buy this bicycle so bad, and I was cutting 3 or 4 yards. So at $20, $25 a yard, you know, it took a minute to save up for this $300 bicycle that I wanted. And needless to say, I saved my money and bought it. So fast forward to high school. Me and a buddy decided, hey, let's go cut some yards. He had a truck. We got together a trailer and a mower. I'd borrow my dad's mower every now and then. He'd borrow his parents' mower. We were getting what we needed in order to pick up for ourselves. So right out of high school, I ended up financing a Bad Boy MZ48. It was a 27 horsepower Briggs & Stratton. It was my first credit purchase, and I was really excited. I had a 0-turn mower. That's something I'd always wanted. After push mowing all these yards, I see these guys out with 0-turn mowers. I'm like, man, I've got to have one of those. I'm gonna have one of those. Even if I'm not cutting yards anymore, when I get out and cut my yard, my own yard, my personal yard, I don't want to push mow it. I want to be on one of those 0-turns. So learned a lot about the whole 0-turn thing and how to mow with them, and learned how to stripe pretty early on. So as our business got bigger, you know, we'd gained up to like 35 accounts. We ended up getting 2 big apartment complexes. I'm talking, these were huge apartment complexes. I can't off the top of my head tell you how many people were there, but I think the bigger one was close to 7.5 acres, and the smaller one was probably 5 acres. But still, that's big, and we knocked both of those out. We saved 1 day. We did both of those properties, and I know we underbid it a little bit just because we wanted them so bad. We wanted to get our foot in the door with some of these commercial properties. Ended up, the business went south. There's a long story behind that, but that's not for me to be sharing with anybody. It's his personal thing, whatever happened. So ended up, we parted ways. I kept mowing. He went and did something else. The mower was in my name. At that time, I had bought a truck, a small Ford Ranger, and I had a trailer. So I was able to keep going out and cutting some of these yards. Well, fast forward about a year after that, we had a baby on the way. The yards weren't picking up as much. I didn't know too much about the business. I wasn't making as much money as I needed to. So I got a welding job. Saw a buddy of mine was working at this place, and he said, hey man, you should come up and take a weld test. So I'd messed with welding a little bit back in high school. Took the weld test, started the next day, and I was there for 5 years. At that point, I'd pretty much quit cutting grass. All I was doing was working that job. So the welding job was going good, you know, everything was great. We had our first son, and then we ended up a couple of years later having our daughter, and you know, things were going good, everything was good with the job. Well, I ended up, you know, putting an ad on Facebook, you know, saying, hey, I wanted to get out. I have this 0-turn mower. I've still got the weed eaters, the blowers and stuff like that. I had a Jeep and a trailer, so I was like, well, I can, after work, go cut 2 or 3 yards a day and, you know, make a cut. I called it fun money, or gun money, whatever you want to call it. Fun money. It was gun money. So I decided, you know, I wanted to get out and cut a couple extra yards during the week, and it ended up picking up and picking up and picking up, and we'll fast forward about a year after I tried to get out and cut some yards. I was finding myself, you know, taking days off from work just to catch up yards, and taking vacation days just to go mow some yards and stuff like that. So ended up quitting my job last year at the beginning of the year, beginning of mowing season. Things were picking up really good, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to make a drastic decision. I'd already bought the Skag V-Ride 2, so I pretty much said, hey, let's do this thing. I'm a little bit smarter about the business now. I've got a lot more knowledge about the business now. I know how to charge now. Things I didn't know, you know, back when I was a business partner. So things are going good. Things are going good. That's pretty much how I got back into the business. And as time goes on, I'm still gonna learn more about this business. I do not know half of what I need to be knowing about this business, but I know enough to where I can provide a stable income for my family. I can make really good money in the summer and save for the winter. And guys, that's something you really need to know. If you're thinking about getting into this business, you're gonna have to hustle. You're gonna have to hustle hard, especially in our area. We don't get hardly any snow, so unless you have commercial properties that are under contract for salt for driveways and walkways and parking lots and stuff like that, snow is pretty much out of the question. So we've got about 8 months that we mow, 7.5 to 8 months, somewhere around there. It really just depends. Our area, it's hard to tell. I try and start, you know, March 1st and go through October, sometimes into November. We've cut in December before. We've cut in February before. So we kind of average out about 8 months, 7.5 to 8 months a year. So that's quite a bit of mowing, time. There is no doubt that you can make really good money in that time frame, put back some for the winter. Now, landscaping jobs and stuff like that, I try and save for early spring, late fall, just because we're not as busy at that time. The grass isn't coming in, or the grass is starting to go dormant or dying out. It's slowing down. So that's usually when we try and do hedge trimming, mulch, flower bed work, stuff like that. I think I pretty much caught y'all up on how I got into mowing. Guys, I've still got 4 yards to do. I'm gonna get out and get them knocked out. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Shoot me a thumbs up. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Perfect.